countdown. 25 break 25, not 20. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, take.
Hello and welcome to a very important issue of that we are taking up in this episode of Point Counterpoint. This is an issue that plagues all of us, especially people in North Goa, though South Goa also has similar problems, but the whole of North Goa and Bardez is suffering from an acute virus called noise pollution. And the point here is that this is not something that is environmentally created. It's not an environmental disaster of sorts. But this pollution is completely man-made, born out of greed and the urge to make profits. Cutting and this malaise cuts across different regimes, different political parties, and so on and so forth. This noise pollution is also linked to large-scale late-night parties with blaring sound all across North Goa, and it's not restricted only to the established nightclubs. There is this whole universe of different kinds of trance and sound parties which happen in all parts and nooks and crannies of North Goa, in secret beaches, in jungles and forest hideouts, and so on and so forth. The problem here, the fallout of all this, there is two. It's disturbed the absolute peace and tranquility of people in those areas. Village life has gone for an absolute toss. People are unable to even sit and prepare for exams. There are a lot of young people who work in call centers or work for companies abroad, and their peak times happen to be late in the evening, when they can't even do conference calls with their teams elsewhere. These are practical things that have happened all over the place, and whenever any attempt is made to clamp down on this, either by the media and others, there has been a very severe kind of a repercussion. We remember how, when one of our Herald reporters, Aspita Polji, had taken up a huge crusade against this. She was actually kind of threatened. She and a colleague were threatened, and we even filed a case, and that, of course, is going on, and we need to look at what's happening there. But the point that one is making is that Article 21 allows us to live, or basically ensures that we live with dignity. We live in harmony. We get a sound night's, a night of sound sleep. But that's completely gone for a toss. Establishments are cutting corners. The rule is not to play music after 10 p.m. and even after that there are conditions and restrictions. While we are saying that nightlife should not stop in Goa, but the rampant excess use of loud music and parties, and obviously, while that is not the subject of this discussion, but we'll bring it in slowly, the whole D word, the drugs word, that is completely linked to trance music and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of issues to cover, and we feel blessed to have probably one of the best panelists that we could have had for a discussion like this. On my right is Mahesh Patil, the chairman of the Goa State Pollution Control Board. Welcome, sir, for coming. And his department, and of course his board rather, has a very important role to play. Advocate Nigel Costa-French is very well known as a lawyer, an activist, somebody who's in fact represented and litigated on many of these issues very extensively. So let's suffice to say that a lot of the changes that are happening, legally and through litigations, is because of people like him. On my left is Advocate Kapil Fatte. Kapil, let us put it this way. The Goan system needs officers like him because of his integrity and honesty and the stellar role that he played as Deputy Collector Bardez. Of course, he's in another department now, but he's been in the thick of things and knows it all. I will start with Mr. Patil. If you can just, react to some of the points that I've mentioned right now, and also the role that organizations and authorities like Goa Pollution Control Board can play in curbing this.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and express my view.
Pleasure.
We know noise has been a big issue, and of late we are seeing more vocal expression in the newspaper as well as the court cases which have been filed.
Yes.
And then it's as you rightly said, it's not a nature made, but it's a man made, and then we need to have a control measure.
Yes.
as I represent Goa State Pollution Control Board, which is a technical body, and we are also mandated under Environmental Protection Act to take certain measures. Here, as a part of, I'm specifically speaking of Noise Act, which empowers actually a police and a SDM to take action.
Right.
However, Pollution Control Board has an equally important role in technically assisting them. So at least we are looking for, we are analyze the entire situation, and we feel we need to come together. It's a combined role of pollution technical body like Pollution Control Board, then administrative aspect like Deputy Collector, SDM, and police to work together and take it forward. We have prepared an action plan, and we hope with joint action plan and support, we'll able to, if not
Great.
totally eliminate, but reduce the menace, and we can make an action plan to take it forward.
Okay, we'll get back and dive into that action plan in detail as we go along. Nigel, I'd just like to bring you in. If you can just quickly touch upon the current litigations that are going on and react to a little bit to what I just said.
So there are a couple of PIL writ petitions pending before the High Court. Now they are with regard to the playing of loud music in these establishments which are in the coastal belt of mainly Anjuna Vagator area.
Yes, yes.
Because that is the place where the most complaints come from, because they have these EDM parties, etc., which go on, they start sometimes early evening, 6 o'clock, and go on till 6 a.m. the next day.
Right.
So there are a number of orders passed by the High Court, which the last one was in December of last year, which lays down various actions to be taken by the government departments, which include patrolling by the local police. They've noise pollution monitoring committee that has been formed by the government. They are supposed to do surprise checks. The registers are to be noted by the SDMs as to when the complaints are received.
Right.
The action taken reports are to be submitted by the district magistrate. Despite all this, I mean, the things still continued. There were a lot of complaints coming, especially to me because I was appearing. Complaints from the villagers asking that something be done.
Right.
So again, now there's a contempt petition in the High Court, and most recently now the government has come out with an action plan, as Mr. Patil pointed out. This was in terms of the directions of the Green Tribunal, National
Right,
Green Tribunal.
right.
Now this action plan is good because it has something which can make this implementation of the judgments of the High Court and Green Tribunal more effective. I'll just give an example. Now the action plan has a thing where these establishments which organize parties, etc., or these events, they are required to fit certain devices which would measure the decibel level of the
Yes.
music that is being played. That in turn would be relayed directly to the pollution board
Yes.
and the local sub-divisional magistrate,
That's correct.
probably via the internet.
Yes.
And so therefore, if there's a violation of the noise pollution norms and the guidelines, or there's music being played at a particular time which they're not supposed to play,
Correct.
I suppose that it can be easily traced out. So then there's no question of,
Yeah, this is in section 7F.
that's in
7E and 7F
correct,
of the guidelines.
of that guidelines.
Guidelines,
So if that is implemented properly by the government, of course it will go a long way. Because right now what is happening is there's mostly a paper implementation. I don't blame anyone.
Right.
But what I'm saying is also very difficult for the authorities because we get a call. But then the police, local police, sometimes they go, they don't go. Action is taken a week or some days thereafter. In the meantime, the purpose is defeated.
Right,
So the
right.
people are getting disturbed, children are suffering, old people are getting. So I hope that this action plan is implemented in its true spirit. That is my.
Okay, we'll go more in depth into all this. Kapil, I'd just like to bring you in. See, the core of the problem seems to be two things. One is the fact that people who want to do these kind of activities, play loud music, rampantly till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Also, most of them do not have the permissions to do so. They do fixing at the local level and get it done. But the point is that, as somebody who's kind of been an administrator of sorts of that particular belt, how do people get away with this feeling that they can actually carry out these activities without any need to take any permissions and nothing is going to happen?
No, I would like to slightly disagree on that.
Okay.
See, the noise pollution regulation and control rules the rules are very clear.
Right.
Under Section 8, based on the police report or an information received, you can always issue them show cause notices.
Right.
Which in my small stint as a deputy collector Bardes, I tried to implement. I issued them show cause notice. In fact, there was a inbuilt problem in the manner in which we were issuing notices.
Okay.
We were issuing them notices under Environmental Protection Act.
Right.
So then I perused it, and then I amended it, and then we were issuing them notice under noise pollution. So there was a certain kind of fear. I will not say fear exactly, but there was there was a sense was instilled that yes, we need, there is something of this sort, and we need to follow it.
Right.
Having said that, see, as a deputy collector, it is also my duty. It is incumbent on me also to respond to people,
Right.
and that was the first thing which I did when I was there. Is I called the people and I asked them to air their grievances, so that I can get the exact
Situation.
feel
Yeah,
of the
yes,
situation.
yes.
And then I found many disturbing things came to my this, and it was also the people were getting harassed, and
Right.
such things were happening. So that was how it is. But
No, the point that I wanted to ask you, see, on one hand you have local people there who've been living there for generations, and the noise is right in front of them, which again is a big problem. So that's disturbance. Secondly is that these establishments who are there, they turn around and say, look, we also need to earn, we also need to do our businesses, why are you coming in the way? And there are many goons on the other side as well. That is one part. The other part is there are so many establishments that come from outside, big bars, big restaurants with big money coming in, okay, who kind of and these so-called big nightclubs who carry on doing this from till we have the morning. The question I'm trying to ask, and I'll get back to Mahesh Babu also on this, is that since you cannot play music after 10 p.m. and even if you do, you need with their very clear-cut
Yeah,
guidelines. How is it that the sheer number of establishments who are doing it, and continuing to doing it, how is that possible?
see, I can only speak about the history.
Sure.
When I was
Absolutely.
there.
Yes.
When I started taking action, this it came down relatively.
I
mean,
see.
it was
Yes.
substantially it was
Right,
reduced.
right.
And the first writ petition, and Dr. was appearing for that for the petitioner, was in 2021 during my stint. There was a PIL which was filed, and I was ready with my work, with whatever I had done. So it will not be appropriate to say that during my time I took what was action.
So you're saying
the-
when the state is strong and when actions happen,
Yeah.
The
At least
result
some
also
kind.
flows,
At
correct.
The
least you have
officers
to
have to
be.
implement. That's
Implement.
all.
If you are responsive, then
Correct.
at the same time, I don't.
Yeah.
Every officer has his own style of
Right, right,
handling things.
right, right.
Sometimes when Bardes is a very hot spot.
right,
Being there and handling, because I know how we were trying our level best.
Right.
Even my colleagues, even now,
Right.
and even my predecessors, they were doing their very
as much
best.
as they could.
And
correct.
it ultimately comes out of the I mean, how you are going to handle it. It
Right.
varies from person to person.
Person to person. Okay. Mahesh Babu, if you can just kindly explain to us a few things. See, for instance, it'll be fair to say that after 10 o'clock, and especially in an outdoor venue, you cannot play music. I mean, unless there are exceptions and you take certain.
Specific
I'm not looking at the 15 festive days.
Yeah.
We leave that out. That we
Yeah.
know. If you leave the 15 festive days out, you need to take it. Now the point is, what does one need to do to play music after 10 p.m. and what is not being done?
See, as my two other panelists have said, it's a nuisance, and there is a procedure laid out in the very clearly stated.
Right.
Now here in the Goa Noise Act and rules, which
Right.
were published in last February
Yeah.
2022.
I think Goa Noise Pollution
Pollution
Rules 2000 and further amended.
Further amended,
Yes,
yeah.
further,
So
yeah,
it's very,
amended, yes.
very clearly describes a procedure, what you want to do.
Right.
There's a format, you apply to the collector or SDM, they send this application to the Department of Environment. Department of Environment send that application to the Pollution Control Board, we
Right.
being a technical body.
Right.
We visit to the site,
Hmm.
make us assessment report. Now that assessment report consists of what is the present noise level there.
Okay.
Because we have equipment.
Right.
We also say what are the locations, residential location located, the schools, other housing colonies.
Right.
And that we make report and say, and then also we ask what are the musical equipment they are going to play. What is the noise level, decibel levels specified.
Right.
And number most important aspect is whether there is a control mechanism. There is a noise control.
Right.
So after 10 o'clock, suppose you have before that you are playing a larger music, and later whether able to reduce, mean that is a regulator to the music.
Right.
If that all equipments are written,
Right.
and we give a factual report to the environment, to the government, and they issue the
What
permission.
is the dB, maximum dB that you can
You
reach?
make there are different standards.
Right.
Like in the night, it cannot cross 65.
Okay.
Yeah, there are in day there are 75,
Right.
and that this is average level. So there are also I make it a point here for measuring the dB. You require very sophisticated equipments,
Right.
which I will tell you later.
Right,
Part,
right.
And you require that particular equipment is one. Handling that equipment is second part. Like for example, I just took you go to airport, the flight which lands or takes away, it makes a huge sound,
Right.
but it's not a yearly average, so or hourly average.
Right.
So there are science involved in this.
Right.
However, I agree to the fact that we should not have right to cause inconvenience to others when we want to enjoy.
Right.
And typically what I also observed that one particular establishment makes a big, plays some music probably
Yes.
for their commercial interest, but another 15 commercial interest or hotels where people want to live peacefully
Yes.
doesn't happen.
Right.
So I think there has to be balance between the two.
Right.
And whoever wants to play music, there are many disco clubs, there are what you call as a
Indoor
establishment.
Right.
They can play their music and people go with the choice.
Right.
The problem is who don't have choice has to listen this music
Right.
or a noise. I
Right.
wouldn't call it no more music, it becomes a noise.
Right.
Yeah. So there is a procedure available, there's a permissions process available, and people has to take. So we'll have that control
One
in place.
interesting, one interesting thought of the so many establishments that are there only in the northern belt.
Yeah.
To your mind, I mean, depending on the records that you have, how many such establishments would have been given permission to play music after 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I think that this act came only, rules came or amendment in February.
Right.
Of course, then March, April, there were much. So as my just a figure, we must have processed around 20 to 25 applications.
So in the whole state of Goa.
State of Goa,
Right.
especially from north,
Correct.
and then last 2-3 months.
Right, right.
That is what my rough figures what we have.
So ideally, in an ideal world,
Yeah.
then there should not be more than 20 to 25 establishments who should be playing music after 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Ideally.
Legally.
Legally.
Yeah, legally, correct.
Legally.
So the thing is that itself
Yeah.
tells the picture because
But that
we've
also,
got it from you,
but
yes.
also I want to add upon because this is a new procedure. Many people are not aware of the procedures.
That's right, correct.
Secondly, the establishment who has to play, so that will be a lot of awareness required, and that is what we are playing role now.
Right.
Getting people. There is a process.
Right.
There is a license you have to take,
Correct.
and these people are who are taking. Again, I'll tell you, the regular for coming, but they
Right.
take for 1 or 2 days. Again, they come back.
Correct.
So many of the people probably we have to educate more and enforce also. Both are equally required.
One interesting thing that I'll ask all three of you is, see, if you are part of the nightlife circuit, you'll constantly get WhatsApp messages of different kinds of underground parties
Locations,
happening. Underground parties, locations, this party is happening there, and you will have strange names, strange DJs. The name of the place is also going to be completely secret. There are some telephone numbers given, and the issue is, and you have foreign DJs coming and playing rampantly. Now that becomes, the issue is that there'll be so many of them. There'll be, during the season, you'll probably have 5 or 6 such parties happening on a daily basis. Now the point is that all completely belongs to a different planet altogether. So how do you monitor that?
Okay, as I said, and as you all are aware,
Yes.
technology can make a big difference.
Right.
And as I said earlier, I told you, in fact, 5-6 years back,
Right.
Goa government had taken a very good initiative and undertaking.
Right.
They said they had given noise level meter to the police.
Right.
The police said they cannot operate, so they were trained by pollution control officials.
Right.
But you also appreciate number of workforce they have,
Right.
type of the work they have, including my colleague who said from SDM, who said that was a problem. How much they handle, and this happens in the night. So we should also appreciate the problem happens.
Right.
So what we thought is we will use a technology, and I'm happy to share with you that we were doing a study as a pollution control board, and we have now already got a technology which is used elsewhere in the world,
Okay.
also in parts of India, but we are using for this different purpose.
Right.
So this you will have equipment, as advocate was saying, it will be installed at particular place. It will directly give reading to the pollution as per the law. It should have been,
Right.
but first we are targeting to these hotspots.
Right.
They are called as these hotspots.
Right.
So that directly transferred to the pollution control board. It will directly transmit to the local police station as well as to the collector and SP.
Okay.
So the online information flow will be there.
And this equipment is in place now.
No, this equipment, as I said, it was not available. We have placed an order.
Right.
So it takes time, getting this information. We started this. In fact, government was very, very supportive. My minister, I can openly say, Mr. Dilesh Kabra, and non-minister, he said, do whatever, but we want to have action.
Right.
And this is a huge cost. I think
Right.
one You go in a market, you get 10,000 rupees one decibel meter, which doesn't stand scrutiny in the court of law,
Right.
because it doesn't have scientific. But here this approved by Minister of Environmental Forest or Central Pollution Control Board, which you direct reading and you have online reading. So even you create a record for it, and that is what we are placing order. We have finalized a tender, so hopefully within next 1 or 2 months that will be in the place.
Right.
That is one part is hotspot, like you say Kalangud, Baga, Anjuna. Also we are talking to the government, and my minister also said he will support that we will put in there are a lot of JIDC property where we
Right.
can install this.
Right.
There is also police protection, IRB we can put and support.
Right.
Secondly, we have similar equipment which you mount on a vehicle. Now you said some of the places we get a complaint.
Right.
Now by the time you go and start monitoring, it disappears.
Right.
It happens.
Right.
So we can place a vehicle and those equipment will directly give reading
Right.
to the police. So
Okay.
police also have a record and they can trace it.
So you can mount it on a vehicle.
Mountain vehicle and move around. So
Right.
that will we have placed an order, and hopefully within by January or February we should able to have that in place. So technology will make a big difference. That is what we're trying.
Nigel, if you can tell us currently, when you see the situation and you filed so many complaints, where does the problem basically lie? What are the, say, maybe 4 or 5 areas of concern, and what should the action plan kind of be, and what should be the solution?
See, to be frank, the main problem is there are orders of the court, there are rules, there are guidelines. The problem is the implementation. And I believe that, see, there is direct political influence at certain sectors, especially in certain areas.
Right.
Obviously, because ultimately the police are either pressurized or whatever. There are establishments which are playing music well beyond the openly.
That's
right. Everyone can see it. You take a drive at midnight today in Anjuna and you can see it happening.
Right.
With impunity. So obviously they have some kind of, they're enjoying some kind of protection from some quarter. So that has to stop. Unless that is there, implementation is impossible. Now, of course, we can, as Mr. Patil said, we have those equipment which is coming. That will help certainly.
Right.
But thereafter what? Now, for example, establishment is caught playing music well beyond the permissible hours or beyond the
Right.
decibel limits. Then comes the action.
That's
What action
correct.
are you going to
Very
take against them?
important, very
And
important,
I believe, and I've been suggesting this in the petitions also, in my submissions, that these establishments who are violators should not be given permission again to play music in that particular. Because if you're doing it in a legal way, it's fine.
Right.
But if you're troubling people and you're causing a disturbance to the entire
So
locality,
you're suggesting they shouldn't be given permissions at all?
their permission should be cancelled immediately, and they should not be given permissions again
Right.
for being violent, and especially repeated cases.
Right. Right.
That is the first thing that should happen. And thereafter things will fall into place. I mean, the committees are there, noise pollution monitoring committees, which are made up of the government officers as well as some local
Yes. I have some
persons.
questions to
Yeah.
ask about that also.
So if they also act in true earnest and they do what they're supposed to do,
Correct.
then the problem, I'm not saying it'll be eradicated,
Right.
but it'll be curtailed to a large extent.
Right.
That's how it is.
Kapil, same question in the sense that where do what are the areas of concern even now? Why is this happening? And even after the action plan is put into place, what needs to be done to see that that plan works?
What from my experience, what I've understood or what I have observed is, if after the show cause notice, the thing of hearing, I started taking up hearings.
You're right.
They would come, they would submit their.
Right.
Although at that particular point of time, we were also short of decimal meters. Only 1 or 2 decimal meters were there. Chairman will be aware.
Right.
So I insisted, I wrote to the government, and then we got decibel meters. We not calibrated, but then we got decibel meters.
Right.
And the first thing was it started off. It had to start off somewhere.
Right. Right.
That was the main thing, and
Right.
I had to be responsive to the people.
Right.
And even otherwise, the establishments who, as Dodor said, the establishments who violate also, there's certain kind of regulation comes in when the authority starts taking up matters.
Right.
And a person who writes to you, he writes to you with a hope, that something will happen or
That's right.
something.
Correct.
So the ray of hope was very important. Even now, there should be follow up. And under Section 8 of, Rule 8 of this, you can.
Rule 8 of, just for the
Rule
viewers.
8
Noise
of
pollution
noise
rules.
pollution
Yeah,
rules.
got it.
Noise pollution.
Noise
Yeah.
pollution rules. Under Rule 8, you can pass a order prohibiting, modify. You can later on modify it. Or
Right, right.
There are provisions under the law wherein an authority is well equipped
Right.
to deal with such circumstances.
Right. Right.
In fact, just to say, add to this, under Rule 8, the authority has the power even to direct a particular establishment to stop playing
Stop.
music.
Okay. Okay.
Can issue a prohibitory order.
Prohibit.
And
So
when you
that
say
kind.
authority, who do you mean? Who's the
There
authority?
are authorities now notified under the Noise Pollution Rules 2000.
Right.
Recently, the new notification on 9th of November.
Right.
Yeah.
And those authorities are the subdivisional magistrates, the district
Okay.
magistrate, the
Right.
SDPO. They are various. So all of them can take cognizance.
Okay.
Or any of them.
Right. Okay, on this note, I'll take a very short break and we'll come back in about 5 minutes. Thank you.